And just quickly, a little bit about myself. My name is Samantha Lee Wright. I'm a mother of two. I have a 3.5-year-old and a little girl who just turned 1, so a boy and a girl. I'm a childbirth educator at samanthaleewright.com. That's my new birth website where I get to share a lot of my childbirth education experience. And I am also the host of a brand spanking new podcast that just launched on Monday. That's now available in iTunes. That's called The Essential Oil Revolution. It's just a health and wellness show centered around essential oils. So I'm super, super excited about that. That just got live. And I also get really excited about childbirth. So tonight we're talking about two of my favorite subjects of all time, essential oils and pregnancy and childbirth. And we're all talking about them at the same time, which makes me really excited because I usually talk about them very separately. So tonight is like happy day for Samantha over here. Just a few quick house rules. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to type them into the chat box. If you can do me a favor, there's like a little button next to where you chat. So the chat box is in the bottom right of your screen, and then just to next to where you type in, there's a little option where you can hit a big red question mark. So if you have a question and you hit that big red question mark, then I get to know that you've got a question, because sometimes if people are chatting, it gets a little bit lost in there. But for time's sake, I'm going to try to hold most questions till the end of the webinar. So go ahead and ask a question when it pops in your head, just because you don't want to forget it later. But if I don't get to it right away, I will try to get to it at the end. And those are really the only house rules. So tonight's agenda, we're going to be talking about a couple different things, 4 different subjects, and I'm hoping to keep it around about an hour and 15 minutes, including the question and answer. So that's my attempt. We'll see how it goes. And that's why we're going to keep the questions till the end, because if y'all ask me questions and I start answering them in the middle, I get lost in a tangent. You don't want that. So we're going to talk tonight about safety of essential oils, like which essential oils are safe to use in pregnancy, and some other safety tips. We're going to be talking all about how to live a non-toxic lifestyle during pregnancy. I'm going to be giving lots of recipes. We're going to do a lot of DIY recipes and things that I'll go through relatively quickly. So if you're the type that you really want to write down the recipes that we're going to be going over, go ahead and get out your pen and paper. Make sure that you've got it to write with, because I won't be staying on those slides too long, just for time's sake. We'll be talking about common pregnancy woes that so many of us suffer through during pregnancy, morning sickness, and we'll talk about a lot more than that. And then a little bit on essential oils that you can use during labor. And I'm going to share with you the top oils and the top tools that I keep in my doula bag for when I go to births with my clients. A little bit more about me. So I studied midwifery actually very independently since I turned 19. I had this huge fascination with childbirth, and it kind of started with my journey to just discover more about myself, and my body as a woman. I felt very ignorant about my body and, how it worked. And just, I had a lot of questions. So I started, I'm just an avid reader. I just love to learn. And so when I have a question, I just go out and I learn it. And this sort of put me down this rabbit hole of learning about women's bodies. And I became very fascinated with midwifery and started studying that independently. And so I've just always been really fascinated by birth, women's health, and women's birth choices, or lack of sometimes. And so long story short, I became pregnant with my own kids. I was not able to fulfill my midwifery track as much, but instead became a childbirth educator and a doula. And this is where I really found my passion for teaching and teaching about childbirth. And I love it. It's one of my favorite things in the world to share this knowledge and the skills that I have. And right now I'm sort of in the process of transferring all that knowledge onto my new website, SamanthaLeeWright.com, because I love teaching local classes. I teach a local childbirth class here in my hometown of Boone that's small, that's local, and I love it so much, but I feel like I really want to reach more people. So I'm sort of shifting and moving that knowledge base onto my new website, which I'm super stoked about. I'm also a labor childbirth doula, which if you don't know what that means, basically clients will pay me to help support them during pregnancy and childbirth, comfort techniques, kind of like a birth coach, but much more in depth. And it's just great. I get to work with couples one-on-one. I get to help support them to have really happy, empowering childbirth experiences, and I love it. And then I'm also a Young Living essential oil silver leader. So when I was pregnant with my second baby, I took a little bit of a break. I took a break for about a year after having little Layla from childbirth work. But I still wanted to make an income somehow from home. And this is sort of what got me started down my track of learning about essential oils and sharing that knowledge. And it was just such a perfect combination of my skill sets. So it was such a happy marriage, and just a perfect combination of holistic health, self-reliance, taking our health, whether it be in pregnancy or not, or childbirth or beyond, taking our health into our own hands, and empowerment through education. And that's really what I find is what I do. I teach people how to take their health into their own hands, whether it be, having a happy childbirth experience in the hospital and knowing what choices you have, and maybe what choices aren't being offered to you. I just like to tell people what maybe they're not hearing just from their care providers or what. And it's true for health as well. That's what we focus a lot on the podcast, the Essential Oil Revolution podcast. We just like to educate people about choices and about how to live healthy lifestyles and how to take their health into their own hands. And the Essential Oil Revolution podcast just went live on Monday, and you can find that on iTunes just by searching the Essential Oil Revolution in iTunes, and it will be on Stitcher really soon as well. Or you can check out the website. It's just revolutionoils.com/podcast. And I'm super stoked about that. I'm a podcast junkie, and I never thought I'd actually have my own podcast, but now I do. And it's so much fun. I get to interview just, active leaders in the health world, inspiring speakers. Oh my gosh, last week I got to interview the Iron Cowboy, who, if you haven't heard of him, holy cow, this guy ran 50 Ironman competitions, 50 Ironmans in 50 days in 50 states. Like, holy cow, this guy is just super inspiring. So I get to talk to really inspiring people and really smart health leaders all day, and I love it. So you can check that out and continue your education there. And I'm also like the worst pregnant lady ever. So I've been pregnant twice in my life, and both times it was just a very challenging experience for me. I mean, I had, all the morning sickness, the low energy. People say like the first trimester morning sickness, and I would get it for 2 trimesters. I didn't really ever get to experience that second trimester time of high energy. I got it a little bit, but not super long. And morning sickness, just low energy, headaches, all that jazz. I mean, I've struggled with my health, I think, since I was born. I was born premature. I'm a twin and born very premature. Wasn't breastfed, and I blame everything on that. But I've just, always struggled with having a strong immune system, trying to eat well. And I was just never really satisfied with the choices that my doctors would give me, or what I would find in conventional medicine. I just thought that there had to be a better way to take care of myself. And And so I got really into herbal healing and things like that, and just got really fascinated with the idea of like, you know what? No one's going to do this for me. This is my job to take care of my body and take care of myself. And maybe I was born, with some roadblocks or a stunted immune system or some challenges, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to be that way for the rest of my life. So I'm also an extremely paranoid person, you could say, when it comes to, taking synthetic medications or eating non-organic or, chemicals and things like that. Um, you know, it's stressful when you're trying to grow that perfect little baby inside your body and try to shelter them from all the toxins and all the chemicals that are in the world. It can be kind of scary, and justifiably, it's okay to be a little paranoid, but sometimes I can go a little overboard, and I think we all can, but that's a story for another day. Like I said, I've always been into herbs, tinctures, holistic health, and food is medicine. But honestly, when I was pregnant, those things were really much harder for me. My herbal teas, my tinctures, trying to eat really well. It was just hard for me. Everything kind of tasted bad, or I just had all these food aversions or taste aversions or smell aversions. And I just felt kind of stuck. I kind of felt like I just had to like accept my fate during pregnancy of whatever was going to happen. And to a certain extent, I think I did. And everyone kind of has to accept the pregnancy that they're given. But like I said, I always look for ways to take care of myself. And I love plant medicine. I love the idea of trying to heal ourselves just using what the plants have in them, and what is on this earth already and not made in some sort of chemical laboratory. But honestly, I never made the connection between essential oils and herbs. Like, I didn't really know anything about essential oils until this past year. I thought they were just, for making soaps and candles and cute DIY recipes and things like that. I didn't realize that they were actually extremely powerful wellness tools. Essential oils are essentially herbs and tinctures, but just much, much more potent and powerful. This is not an introduction class to essential oils. I'm not going to go into this too much. If you want, you can take my course on essential oils that explains the science that goes into what makes essential oils so powerful. And you can get that at revolutionoils.com/podcast. That's where you can see the free course we have. It's an introduction to how to use essential oils. But after my friend taught me about essential oils, I found that it was just a so much more approachable method of natural health for me to use, especially during pregnancy. And still to this day, I find that my oils, I'll use them much more than I'll use the other wellness tools that are, in my wellness toolkit, just because they're so easy. They're fast, they're effective. I can use them on my kids, like kids generally don't, drink down quarts of herbal infused tea or let you put tinctures on their tongues and things like that. But my kids love the essential oils. My son will come up and say like, hey, rub some oil on my back. And I'm like, all right, you got it, kid. And they're just fun and they're so easy to use. And every day I feel like I'm learning more and more about these essential oils and how amazing they are and how they work. And every day I'll hear another success story, from one of my customers. They'll say like, oh my God, I hadn't slept that well in years, or I've been dealing with this for ages and I've never found anything that worked. And so they just continually blow me away. And I love learning about them and I love sharing about them. And I love how they gave me a sense of control again, with my body. Like I felt like I had tools that I could use to support the remainder of my pregnancy. So I didn't actually start using essential oils till like the 7th month of my pregnancy for baby number 2. I was like, why didn't I learn about this sooner? It just gave me such a sense of control of like, oh, right, great. Now I have tools that I can use, for anything that comes along. So that was a really great feeling. And it also gave me tools that to help me easily avoid using toxic chemicals, synthetic drugs, chemicals in the home. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth. But I want to first talk a little bit about the importance of avoiding toxins in pregnancy, which I think is kind of common knowledge, but it's interesting if you really take a closer look. I liked this quote. During pregnancy, there are certain sensitive periods where the fetus is very vulnerable to a range of small molecules from things like plasticizers, prescription drugs, environmental pesticides, and other things. Some of these small molecules essentially alter normal development. And that's a study from the University of Chicago. And that study's revealed that conditions like autism, intellectual disability are very strongly linked with exposure to harmful environmental factors during prenatal development. And autism and things like that, these are things that are very much on the rise all around the world. It's hard not to feel kind of scared and paranoid about this stuff, but the environment that we live in, we are surrounded by these small molecules, these toxins that are in the air around us, in the homes that we build, in the paint that we paint on our walls, on the food that we eat. And if you think about a growing baby, the rate of growth is just simply outstanding. From the size of a period dot, like on this webinar, the period at the end of that sentence, they go from that size to a full-grown baby in just 9 months. Like the kind of biological activity that is required for that is outstanding. It's a really delicate process, to a point. It's very delicate. And our bodies, they're not really designed to assimilate and deal with synthetic chemicals that are all around us. It's sort of like oil and water. Our bodies they don't recognize these chemicals as part of us. And so it tries to sort of get rid of it somehow. But oftentimes we don't know how, like these chemicals, they go to the liver or the gut or the kidney or wherever. But it's just isn't designed to filter these types of toxins and chemicals that are in our environment. So they can really end up wreaking havoc in our developing bodies and, of course, in our developing babies. Now, combine that knowledge with this striking statistic that the average American home contains over 63 hazardous products. And also the fact that Americans now spend between 80 and 90% of their time inside. So we've got these, 63 hazardous products on average, anything from antiperspirants to perfumes, toilet bowl cleaners, over-the-counter painkillers, skin products, air fresheners, quote unquote. We've been unknowingly poisoning ourselves with hundreds of chemical compounds that our body is unequipped to deal with. And we trust these things because they're sold to us in the store. And some of the big culprits that you're probably already aware of are like formaldehyde, nitrobenzene, methanol chloride, all of these carcinogens that can be found in everyday items like rubber, plastic, dyes, perfumes, shampoos. They're everywhere. Just one example would be air fresheners. Many air fresheners, like probably 99.9% of air fresheners that you'll find being sold in your stores have carcinogens in them. There are volatile organic compounds and toxins, such as phthalate esters, formaldehyde. They're all in these air fresheners, but it's okay for these companies to sell them to us because it's not, quote unquote, a consumable food. And they don't have to label them. They don't have to label these toxins because they're not considered consumption, not fit for consumption. So they don't have to tell us what's in them. So it's kind of scary. All air fresheners tested in this one study from the University of Washington gave off chemicals regulated as toxic or hazardous under federal laws, including carcinogens with no safe exposure levels. But they're in our air fresheners and we're spraying them all over the place. So it's kind of scary. But there's one really easy alternative to this. And that's one of the main reasons that I love using my essential oils, because it's the total opposite. To diffuse an essential oil is such a peaceful, calming activity that smells so good. It smells way better than those air fresheners that you'll find in the store, in my opinion. And it's so fun and so calming. And the Young Living essential oils, that's really what Young Living is all about. They're all about living healthy, toxic-free lifestyles in the home, transforming your home into this chemical-free, toxic-free zone, and then also using the essential oils to protect your body from toxins from the outside world, which we'll talk about next. But I just wanted to share some of my favorite diffusing methods, or my favorite diffusing oils would probably be lemon and peppermint together. I love lemon and peppermint. It really is such a great way to wake you up. You kind of have to be careful though, because it really wakes you up. There was this one morning, it was my husband, Shambe, and I, we kind of take turns sleeping in on the weekends sometimes. We'll be like, okay, Saturday you get to sleep in, Sunday you get to sleep in. Well, Sunday it was my turn to sleep in. But I got up, to go to the bathroom in the morning, and I was like, well, let me just put some lemon and peppermint in the diffuser so the family can enjoy it, and then I'll go back to bed. And just like the 2 minutes it took me to, put the oil and the water in the diffuser, hit the button, I was so awake that I couldn't go back to sleep after that. It was like my turn to sleep in. So I was kind of mad. I was like, okay, I'm not doing that again. But I do like to diffuse it when I'm studying or when I have like a really long work day next to my computer. It just really helps you stay alert and energized. Some other really popular blends to diffuse is one blend called Purification that some people love it, some people hate it. So you just kind of have to see what works for you. But Purification is it is really meant to purify the air, and it's really, really good at killing odors and sort of dissolving the nasty stuff that's in the air that we don't want to be breathing in. And then the Thieves oil, of course, is probably one of the most popular Young Living blends, and it just smells heavenly. It's like cinnamon, clove. I mean, it smells kind of like Christmassy, but you can diffuse it all year round. But that's such a powerful oil just to have up in the air and to be breathing it in. Such a good boost to your immune system, and such a good oil to support your whole body wellness. So a little bit about why essential oils are so much more powerful or are so good for our bodies compared to, synthetic chemicals and things like that. Essential oils are made up of very, very teeny tiny molecules, like super, super tiny molecules that have the ability in its chemical structure to penetrate our cell membranes and transport oxygen and nutrients inside the cell, thus giving more support to the immune system. So these oils are so teeny tiny that they can go and penetrate to the very deepest levels of our cells and actually transport oxygen and nutrients and things like that that we need to live a healthy, radiant lifestyle. Essential oils are very high in antioxidants, which, if you're not familiar, antioxidants create an unfriendly environment for free radicals that are in our bodies and that we're in contact with daily. So free radicals, they come from sources outside your body, such as tobacco smoke, toxins, pollutants. When you pump gas, you're breathing in these free radicals. And free radicals can cause a lot of damage to your body's cells, to your proteins, and even can alter your DNA to the chemical structure. Antioxidants are the only defense that we have to combat these free radicals. So therefore, the more antioxidants you have, the more you can fight off these nasty free radicals that are in your body. And essential oils are one of the easiest ways to boost your body's antioxidant level. They're super efficient, super high in antioxidants. If you compare them to things like blueberries, pomegranates, it's just off the charts compared to these, fruits and things that we think of as high in antioxidants. And it's so easy, it's hard to, eat a bunch of blueberries and pomegranates throughout the winter time, but it's super easy just to slap some clove oil on the bottom of your feet before bed. You're done. There's your antioxidants for the day. So they're super great at supporting our immune systems and providing us with that whole body wellness that we need. But the toxins and all the things that we're talking about, they're not just in our air, but really, if you look at our homes, we're putting these toxins on our skin all the time. There's a really, I'll read this striking study that was made. It takes 26 seconds is all it takes for chemicals in your personal care products to enter into your bloodstream. And if you think about, well, if this is getting into my bloodstream, it's getting into my baby's bloodstream as well. So you really want to be aware when you're pregnant of what you're putting onto your skin. And kind of like what I was saying before, you know, what we put on our skin is not nearly as highly regulated as what we put into our bodies. You know, companies aren't really allowed to make ingestible products that have a bunch of chemicals and things in it, but there's no regulation really, as far as, or very little, about what companies can put into healthcare products. And so, you know, with the marketing, someone will think that they're putting something on their body that's good for them, you know, because of clever marketing, but really they're putting toxins on their body, and it can be really scary. So there's a really cool app. If you haven't heard of it, it's called Think Dirty. I love it. I think it's so clever. If you have a smartphone, get the Think Dirty app. It's free, and you can actually scan the barcode of, you know, any of the products in your home or at the store, and it will tell you what chemicals are in that product, and it'll sort of give you a rating as far as if it's okay to put on your skin, or if it's got ingredients in it that you might want to avoid. You know, or just trust your gut on these things. You know, for the longest time, I told myself that I couldn't afford the Young Living shampoo and conditioner. You know, like I would always buy the super cheap conditioner and shampoo from the store because, you know, I wanted to put my money sort of more into organic foods and that kind of thing. I was like, okay, whatever, you know, what I eat needs to be really pure, but I'm going to save my money by, you know, getting the really cheapo shampoo and conditioner and stuff. But every time I would take a shower and I would put my, you know, shampoo and conditioner in my hair, I would start sneezing my head off. That's one of my biggest challenges is my allergies. And so I'm just really sensitive to chemicals and things like that. And so every time I would take a shower, I would just come out sneezing my head off. And it took me the longest time to finally say, like, you know what, I'm worth it. Like, I'm worth this, you know, 10 or I forget, maybe it's like a $20 shampoo and conditioner or something. I was like, I'm worth that. I'm worth not having to sneeze my head off every time I take a shower. And I know not everyone's that sensitive, but I am. So now I use the Young Living Copaiba Vanilla shampoo and conditioner. Oh my God, heavenly. I love it. So let's get in and start talking about some DIY recipes. This is the fun part. And I just picked a few of my favorites there's a book called The Chemical Free Home by Melissa Pepping, and she has really wonderful recipes out there. So here's a really good one for a magic belly rub. So this is one that you can rub on your belly during pregnancy, during all the months that you're growing, that your baby's growing and your belly's growing. This is such a beautiful little blend to make yourself. And it just calls for a quarter cup of coconut oil. And you would want to use like the hard coconut oil. Just stir it. You know, you can heat it up on the stove if you want. But if I'm mixing oils with coconut oil, sometimes I'll just stir it enough with a fork or a spoon until it gets a little bit soft. And they rub right in. So coconut oil, cocoa butter, and sweet almond oil. And then just 6 to 8 drops is all it takes of frankincense oil and lavender oil. Those two oils are really known for their skin benefits of skin and can really help with your growing, stretching belly. And they smell so good. And the frankincense especially is just such a amazing gift that you can sort of give your developing baby, you know, in utero. The frankincense, you know, I'm not really, because of the FDA regulations, I'm not really allowed to say everything I want to say here, which is frustrating, but it's just such an amazing oil and its ability to, what's the word I'm trying to think of here? Let's see. It promotes regular cellular regeneration. There we go. That's how I'll say that one. That's FDA compliant, I think. So it's just as your baby's developing, the frankincense can help that process go really smoothly. That's how I'll say that. And this makes a really great lotion or massage rub. You can rub it anywhere, but that's where I'd rub it if I was growing my baby. And then I think one of the most common sort of, toxic, yucky things that most of us put on our body every day is just deodorant. So if you want to make your own deodorant, here's a really simple recipe: just baking soda, cornstarch, coconut oil, and then 5 to 20 drops of whichever essential oil you want. This really just depends on what smells you like. Some suggestions are purification. That one's just really great at purifying odors. So that's a really good go-to. Some people just love the smell of lavender. So they'll use lavender. Geranium's a really popular deodorant one. Or you can go more fruity with the grapefruit or the peppermint. Now the peppermint is really cooling. So this can be a really refreshing one to use during the hot summer months. To use peppermint in your homemade deodorant can be really cooling. And to make this one, you'll just need to dissolve the cornstarch into the baking soda and the coconut oil over a low heat, and then let that cool to a warm temperature, and then add the oils until it's just the desired aromatic strength. There's no it's not rocket science. Just do it till it doesn't smell too strong, but you can still smell it. And that's a personal thing. And then you can pour that mixture into old deodorant containers, or just buy empty ones from Amazon if you want. And then it'll harden when it's cool. Super easy. Now, if you need a more like super duty antiperspirant deodorant kind of thing, then that last recipe might not be strong enough for you, and you might want to go with a stronger recipe such as this one. I'll give you a minute to write this one down before I move on, and get a sip of water because I talk too much. But all of these recipes are from The Chemical Free Home by Melissa Pepping, which is a really great little handbook that has all these recipes in it. All right. Moving on. Here's another recipe. This one is not from the Chemical Free Home book. This is from Real Food RN. She's a friend of mine. She's in the Revolution Oils team with us. Her name's Kate Dobler, and she's great. She has so many amazing recipes on her site for DIY living and toxic-free living. So you can check her out at Real Food RN. And she's also a guest on the podcast. She'll be, her episode won't come out for a while, but we talk a lot more about different recipes like laundry soaps and things like that. But I love this MultiPurpose Cleaner that she has on her site. It's just 1 cup of vinegar, 2 cups of water, 8 drops of lavender, and 10 drops of lemon oil. And I love, if you're into making your own household cleaners, I know vinegar is a really common ingredient. It's just so good for everything, but it doesn't really have the best smell, or at least I don't really like the smell of vinegar on all my stuff. So I love using essential oils because it kind of gives it that different smell, makes it smell really nice. Now, here's just quickly some alternatives for folks that are kind of more like me. I used to make a lot of DIY homemade recipes, and then I had 2 kids, and then I was like, I don't have time for this stuff. But that's just me. Some people still make time for it. But I'm busy. I run my own business. I've got 2 kids. I'm a little bit lazy sometimes, and I'm also just not that crafty. So I don't mind paying someone to do this for me. I'm like, you can make my deodorant for me and I'll just buy it, and that's fine. And I love that about Young Living because they have tons of household products that you can use that you don't have to make yourself. So here's just some of their most popular ones that I'll mention. I'm so in love with the Thieves toothpaste. I never thought I could love a toothpaste, but I love this one. It tastes really good. It's not sweet. It's not spicy. My mouth just feels so clean when I use it. They also have a Thieves household cleaner concentrate. So it's like this big bottle that you get, and it's only like $22, and it lasts, the whole year. Well, if you're me, it lasts the whole year probably because I don't clean that much. Don't tell anybody. And, but it's super cheap and it's super effective. You can use it on any surface. So it's great. They've got their Thieves hand soap, which a lot of people love. And they have deodorant too. So I've had this Meadow Mint deodorant for a while, and it lasts forever. It's a really like good, strong deodorant that you only need like one swipe. So that's lasting me a long time. And then, as I mentioned before, the shampoo and conditioner that they have it's the bomb.com. Just going to say, so if you feel like you don't want to, make all of your own toxic free products, go to Young Living and get the ones that they have. Most of them are very reasonably priced. I mean, they are on the higher end just because that's what Young Living's all about, is just chemical free, toxic free living. And, let's just face it, chemicals are cheaper than natural stuff. It's just the way that we live. So, but it's totally worth it. And you'll be surprised, actually. Sometimes I'm like, whoa, this is only $3. Cool. All right, let's move on and talk about essential oil safety during pregnancy. So here's a chart. This is a really helpful chart that you should have received in your email, I think this morning, or maybe it was yesterday that I sent it out. Just an extra little printout bonus for you. So if you are wanting to use essential oils during pregnancy and you just want to reference this really easy reference guide, it'll tell you which essential oils are totally safe. So like totally in the green zone safe, which ones are totally avoid these ones, and then which ones are sort of in the debatable arena. People are like, well, that one might be bad, might be good, but just using cautiously and being aware of your body. But I always like to kind of throw this caveat in that, you are your own person and everyone's body is different. And honestly, there has not really been a lot of studies done on this stuff. Some people are just kind of like, well, I think this one's not good for pregnancy just because of, I don't know, the way it works in the body. I mean, there's just not really a lot of studies done on, what happens when someone does use a lot of basil in pregnancy or not. So of course, everyone's going to err on the side of caution. We always err on the side of caution. But I just want to, and sort of give you permission to recognize that you are your own person and you are the only one that experiences your body. So if you want to try an essential oil that's maybe on the used cautiously list or the avoid list, just start out really slow and tune in to what's happening in your body. Or I have a friend that goes to a kinesthesiologist where she'll test the different oils and test them against her body to tell her which oils she needs. And she'll test certain ones that maybe are on the avoid list, but come up as completely safe for her. So everyone's there, make your own decisions. And if you want to err on the side of caution, I would just stick to the ones that are on the safe list. If you didn't get the email with this chart in it, you can go, check your email would probably be the easiest thing to do, or go to my website, samanthaleewright.com/free. And that's where you'll find this free printout and some other helpful free stuff for pregnancy. I have like a packing for the hospital checklist and fun things like that. So one question that comes up a lot in our chat room is, if cinnamon bark is on the avoid column, why is thieves on the safe column? Because cinnamon is in the thieves. And the best answer I've heard for this is the fact that when the cinnamon's blended into the thieves, it's blended with other oils, so it's much less concentrated. So using it in a less concentrated form makes it safe for pregnancy. So that's the answer for that, I think. So yeah, don't bother writing all these down. Just print this out from the website later, or check your email for it. And then of course, just a quick note about Young Living. If you care at all about avoiding toxins and chemicals during pregnancy, it may surprise you that many of the oils that you'll find in the supermarket, or even in your health food store, are not always true essential oils. as in like not 100% from the plant. And even if they say 100% pure, it's really just, it's not a term that gets regulated. Anyone can say that. It doesn't really mean anything. It's sort of like the term natural, that we see on our foods. Natural doesn't really mean anything. And the same goes with pretty much anything anyone puts on their essential oil label, like therapeutic grade, pure, it doesn't mean anything. And most of the oils that you'll find even in your health food store or on the market are made up of toxic chemicals and fragrances. And this is exactly what we're trying to avoid. So it's kind of scary. It's a little bit of a shame that the essential oil world, it's not really regulated. I mean, I'm not really one for regulation. Of course, things get over-regulated a lot, but sometimes I wish there was a little bit more rules about what you can say about your essential oils, because I've just heard horror stories, people, using, they'll hear that lavender is really good to put on a burn, which it is. But if you put a synthetic lavender on a burn, it's going to turn that, first degree burn into a second degree burn in a heartbeat because of the synthetic chemicals that are in that oil. So Young Living, the reason I choose Young Living, they're designed for therapeutic use. They're not really designed as pure perfumes. They're not just designed to smell good, which most essential oils are. Most essential oil companies, the only thing they care about is what it smells like, and they want it to just smell good. That's it, end of story. Young Living, they want their essential oils to work on a therapeutic level. And that's what goes into every step of the process of them making their essential oils. They're guaranteed to be pure, authentic, not filled with toxic chemicals. And their seed to seal guarantee is just mind-blowing. It's like kind of like the farm to table movement, but with essential oils. So they're the only essential oil company that owns their own farms. And every step of the way, every step of the process is just meticulously handled and designed to create the highest quality essential oil possible. They're such a beautiful, beautiful company, and really sustainable in all of the farming practices that they do. So anyway, I could go on for hours talking about how wonderful this company is, but we are here to talk about more fun things. So, you're smart. You can tell the difference. Take a bottle of Young Living Peppermint and go to your health food store and smell the peppermint there, and you'll notice which one gives you a headache and which one makes you feel better. Okay. So that's all I'll say about that. But if anyone has any more questions about Young Living, what their practices are, anything like that, please feel free to email me at any time or contact me later, and I'll be glad to give you more information on that. But let's move on and talk about some of the common pregnancy woes that a lot of us experience in pregnancy. I'm just going to take a sip of water. Hold on. All right. Morning sickness. Yeah, I had this one really bad. A lot of us do. So what are the different causes of morning sickness? Because it can be caused by different things. Now, if you ask, any sort of Western medicine doctor, they're not really going to give you an answer here. They're just going to say, oh, it's just a common pregnancy thing, and that's sort of what I kind of accepted in my pregnancies as well. But when you really look at morning sickness, it's usually caused by one of three things. The hormonal changes that are happening in your body, which are very normal. So there's really not much we can do about this. There's just a lot of hormonal changes happening in your body because you're growing a baby. And that's just, it is what it is, sort of. But sometimes morning sickness can be caused by an overtaxed liver, which I think a lot of us have overtaxed livers. Like we just live in this modern day. I think all of our organs are a little bit taxed. Or this one's really common. It can be related to blood sugar issues. So blood sugar maybe spiking and then spiking and dropping. I mean, I experienced this in my first pregnancy. When I was in my first trimester, we lived in this really tiny, teeny cabin, this like hunting cabin in the woods that you would have to basically climb up a mountain to get to. We had to carry all of our water up there. We were hippies. We lived in the woods. It was it was lovely. And when I got pregnant, I was carrying this 5-gallon, jug of water on my shoulder up this giant hill. And I hadn't eaten any breakfast yet that morning because I just wasn't used to being pregnant yet. I was like, whatever, I'm a strong, healthy woman. I can do whatever I want when I'm pregnant. Well, I got to the top of the cabin. I dropped the water and I just was out for the next 2 hours. I was so extremely nauseous. I was in so much discomfort. It was horrible. And it was just because I hadn't eaten breakfast and I was, lugging water up a giant mountain. So blood sugar issues are a really big cause of morning sickness that can really hit us all. And that's why they say, in the morning, before you even get out of bed, if you can just nibble on some sort of snack before you get out of bed, that can help with your blood sugar issues. And I had to really get in the routine of waking up, making my breakfast as fast as possible. If I tried to make a really long, elaborate breakfast, I would pass out in the middle, literally pass out in the middle of making breakfast. So I started to learn to just eat, some yogurt or some cheese or something before I started cooking my breakfast. But it's hard when you're pregnant. You have all those food aversions and it's not easy, right? So let's talk about some oils that can support your changing body during this tough time. So one of my favorite essential oils of all time is peppermint. Peppermint is really renowned for supporting any sort of gastrointestinal system comfort. It's just so comforting for our gut and for our bellies. It promotes healthy bowel function, which I think is something a lot of pregnant women struggle with. And it also enhances healthy gut function and supports normal digestion. So there's different ways you can use peppermint. My favorite is just to mix peppermint with a little bit of a carrier oil. Peppermint is a hot oil, so you don't want to put it directly on your skin. You want to mix it with some sort of carrier oil, like coconut oil is probably my favorite. Sweet almond oil, jojoba, whatever you've got, olive oil even works in a pinch. So just mix the peppermint oil with a little bit of carrier oil and then rub it right on your belly. And it can be really cooling and really soothing. Or you can add a couple drops into a glass of water. If you want to do that, just add a little bit of honey to the water before you put the oil in so the oil doesn't float right up at the top. So it kind of gets dissolved into the water. And then you can just sip on that throughout the day and really soothing to your system. Now, be aware that peppermint is very safe to use during pregnancy, but for certain women, it could decrease your milk supply when you're breastfeeding. So after you have the baby, just be really aware of that possibility. Now, I'm a part of we have a private support group, for our Young Living members in the Revolution Oils team on Facebook. And so we're always chatting in there about, hey, what do I use for this? What do I do for that? And some people will ask, is peppermint safe for breastfeeding? And, so many people will say oh, no, my milk supply was fine. I was fine. It wasn't affected. I'm the only person I've ever met that this actually happens to, that peppermint really lowers my milk. So it can happen, but it doesn't mean it will happen to everyone. So just, be aware. If you want to try it and, just tune in to your body. I always say that's the most important thing. Be willing to try, be willing to experiment, and just tune in to your body and see what happens. You can be your own little science experiment, I say. So I love peppermint. Now the next, this isn't a straight up essential oil. This is just a really popular product from Young Living. It is called Ningxia Red. We call it Ninja Juice in our house. My son always asks for his Ninja Juice in the morning. So sweet. Ningxia Red could be a topic of its very own webinar. You can listen to the Ningxia Red podcast episode when it comes out. But I've never come across any sort of, drinkable product that can compare to Ningxia Red. Just 1 ounce 3 times per day. During pregnancy can I mean, it's probably the most helpful thing you can do for your ever-changing body. It supports every system in your body. So many key nutrients that it comes with, minerals. I don't have the list in front of me because I told myself I wouldn't talk about Ningxia Red too much on the webinar, but I'll just say that Ningxia Red is a superfood blended into a bottle. Like 1 ounce of this stuff is equivalent to like 48 heads of broccoli, 15 pounds of blueberries. Like it's just like the antioxidant level and the vitamin and nutrition content is amazing. And it's really powerful to support your blood sugar. So I know a lot of diabetics will use Ningxia Red just as part of their healthy living protocols. And it is so good at supporting your blood sugar and everything else in your body. So just 1 ounce, you know, we can't afford to drink 3 ounces a day. So we all have 1 ounce a day. And it just is amazing. We all sleep so much better on the days that we drink our Ningxia. It's just amazing. And of course, diet is going to be, you know, food is our medicine. Diet is going to be the most important thing to support your body during pregnancy. Eating low carb diet with plenty of vegetables, of course, is a little easier said than done when you're pregnant. Like I was always craving bread, you know, during pregnancy. That's like all I wanted to eat. So it can be difficult to, you know, sometimes we know what we want to eat or know what we need to eat to be well, but we just can't do it, right? It's just easier said than done, especially during pregnancy. And that's why I feel like having some sort of extra support, like drinking something super good for you and concentrated, and it also tastes delicious, like the Ningxia Red, is so good for your body. And then also, Acatea is an essential oil that has been sort of linked to balancing blood sugar as well. So applying Acatea essential oil to your lower back with a carrier oil can be really great support for your overall health. Some more oils to talk about to use during pregnancy are one of my favorite blends called DEET Guys. This is a digestive support blend that you can actually put into empty gel capsules. You can buy those empty gel capsules from your health food store, add, 3 drops of DEET Guys, and then fill the rest of the pill up with olive oil or some sort of carrier oil that will help it assimilate in your body a little bit better. And that is just one of the best digestive aids I've ever come across. I never travel without it. I never go to a buffet without it. I love me some DEET Guys. And then lemon is really excellent for liver support. So as we were talking about those really overtaxed livers, I think we all are there, but especially in pregnancy, we just need a little bit extra support, right? So using lemon oil, you can put it in your water, add a little bit of honey, and lemon and all the citrus oils are very high in a chemical compound called limonene. And the FDA won't let me tell you what that does, but I'm not going to stop you from writing that down and Googling it later. Just saying. Okay. Here's a really great recipe for a muscle rub. You know how we all get sore in pregnancy? Our hips, our back, our feet, everywhere. Our bodies are changing and they're changing fast. So making a muscle rub, these 3 oils are really excellent for supporting those muscles. Copaiba is, I love the smell of copaiba. It's like almost like a very sweet smell to me. Or copaiba, I think is how you say it. So copaiba, and it's fun to say, is really great. Peppermint oil, really great for muscle rubs, and another oil called Palo Santo. And, I intentionally didn't put a recipe, quote unquote, here because I'm just not a perfectionist. And I don't think that you need to be a perfectionist when you're using essential oils. Just mix them together in a little bowl with some coconut oil, use your nose, use your common sense. Don't put a whole bottle in there. A little bit goes a really long way. You really only need 2 or 3 drops of an essential oil for it to do its thing. And you can mix all these together. Some people would say, so if you want to be really technical about it, some people say that peppermint oil should be used as a layer on top of the other oils. So you can experiment with that, put a layer of copaiba on, put a layer of Palo Santo on, and then put a layer of peppermint on top of that. And the peppermint can kind of drive those other oils deeper into the body, which is really cool. That's if you want to get a little more technical. And here's some good suggestions for nighttime. Sometimes we need a little help during the night. We're tossing, we're turning, we can't get comfortable. So here's a few suggestions. There's one blend called Peace and Calming, which you can just apply to the bottoms of your feet before bed or put it in the diffuser near your bedside. Peace and Calming is like my husband's jam. Shambe, he loves Peace and Calming. It knocks him out like so fast. And then for me, everyone's so different. So for me, I love Peace and Calming, but it's not quite like my go-to when I need extra support. Right before bed, I have a roller ball that I make of lavender, cedarwood, and vetiver. And I just roll that on the bottom of my feet, or I'll diffuse that combination as well. And that is just such an amazing blend. Everyone's different. I had a member once who said that she was diffusing lavender and citrus fresh, which is like a citrus blend, which I normally think of as very like energizing and refreshing, but she mixed it with lavender, put it in her diffuser, and she said that she slept through the night. The first time she ever diffused it, she was sleeping through the night, and she hadn't done that in years. So everyone is their own body. You got to kind of trust your instincts and smell the oils and see which ones you connect with. All right, so let's sort of shift gears for a second and talk about helpful oils to use during childbirth. Now, I'm going to first talk about oils that are good for emotional support, and then the next slide we'll talk about oils that are good for physical support. So sometimes women need extra support emotionally to while they're pregnant, and then also during childbirth. Valor is one that comes up a lot for people, because valor is sort of coined courage in a bottle, or courage. It's actually an oil that soldiers would use during wartime. So I like to go to that oil first for my clients, because I just kind of think of them as these like soldier women, in childbirth, because you have to be a rock star in childbirth. Like, it's just amazing the strength that you'll see in women when they're giving birth. And but sometimes we need a little help with that courage and getting into that space. So just putting a drop of Valor on the heart or on the wrist, like the where you would kind of put perfume, that is a really great space spot to put oils for emotional support. Also, another great spot to put essential oils for any sort of emotional support is on the outer edges of the ears. That's a really great emotional support spot. A quick note, before you use an essential oil during pregnancy, you always want to make sure that the smell isn't offensive to the laboring woman. Sometimes their sense of smell is heightened, and certain oils will sort of be off-putting. Now, that doesn't mean you can't necessarily use it. It just means that you want to start really slow. Like, just open the bottle first and put it, maybe at her belly level, so it's not right up in her face, and just kind of get her used to the smell a little bit. Sorry, I'm talking in my doula voice. I'm talking about her. You can do this yourself too. But that's just a quick note about that. Okay, other emotional oils for support during labor are Stress Away. Stress Away was one I used in my second childbirth, and I'll just never forget it. It was just such an amazing feeling that came over me when my doula came and she rubbed stress away on my shoulders, while I was sort of in transition. And I had already had an emotional connection to this oil before childbirth. And I think that that's really important to kind of already establish that emotional connection with the oil. But that was my go-to oil whenever I was feeling kind of stressed out, would be this blend called Stress Away. And I loved it. And so I used it in childbirth, and it really helped me calm down during that transition spot of labor. Some other helpful blends. There's one called Surrender, which some women just need some help, just need some support, surrendering to the process and surrendering to the intensity of childbirth. Release is kind of would have like a similar effect. And then for certain women that might be having a lot of emotional trauma in their life that could affect their childbirth, like sexual abuse or any sort of emotional trauma. There's a blend called Trauma Life. Now, this is one that I would definitely start to use in pregnancy as early as possible, because these oils can really bring a lot of emotional stuff up for us and create a lot of emotional healing. That is a process. And so the first time that you might use one of these oils can really bring a lot of stuff up to the surface. And you don't want that happening during childbirth. So you would want to definitely, try these oils out beforehand. And if you're using these more emotional oils and you're feeling like a lot of intense stuff is coming up on the surface, talk to somebody and talk through those emotions and what's happening and what's coming, and deal with that during pregnancy, so that you don't have those traumas holding you back during childbirth. Diffusing the oils works, or putting them in those spots that I said, the outer ears, the wrist, or the heart. All right. Oils for childbirth. These are more physical supporting oils. Clary sage is kind of known to speed up contractions. So this is one that is said to be avoided during pregnancy. But if you're in labor and things are going kind of slow, then break out the clary sage, rub it on the inner ankle, the inner ankle, and then also just rubbing it on the lower belly can sometimes speed up contractions. Peppermint is always a good one to have on hand. Peppermint essential oil is very good for muscles, very cooling, and also can help release your bladder, which sounds kind of funny, but sometimes towards the end of labor, women have a hard time urinating. And if there's a lot of urine in the bladder, can really hold back a baby from coming down. And so putting peppermint oil. I had one friend, she was in the birth tub, and she put a drop of peppermint oil in the water, and then she immediately started peeing in the water, and she's like, okay, I got to get out of here now. But she couldn't release, and that just for some reason helped her release. And I've heard that story a couple times, so something to it. Panaway is a really great muscle blend that I wouldn't use during pregnancy, but during labor, just because it's really high in wintergreen, which is known to not be good during fetal development. So, but using Panaway during pregnancy would be fine, and putting it on that low back spot is such a helpful place to give love and attention during childbirth. There's another blend that's kind of similar called Deep Relief that actually comes in a roller ball, and you can just roll that right on to the low back. And then lavender is really relaxing, and I would avoid it during early labor because sometimes it can actually slow contractions down, and you wouldn't want to, stall a labor by using lavender too early on. So wait until highly active labor when it's okay to fully relax the body, and labor sort of on autopilot, as I like to say, but avoid it during early labor. Now here's an inside look at my doula bag. This is the last slide for the night, or the last content slide of the night. And this is just an inside peek of my doula bag. These are sort of, there's more stuff in my doula bag than this, but this would be some helpful stuff for you guys to use. I've got my rice sock here that I can warm up in the microwave, which can be really relaxing. And you can, check to see which oils are good for you first, but sometimes lavender for an active labor, just put a couple drops of lavender onto the rice bag. And that's really nice because honestly, that smell of like hot microwave dry rice, not that pleasant all the time. So just adding a little bit of essential oil can be really, really useful. I've got my rebozo, which is not an oily thing, but I love, it's just a really long scarf basically that you can get from Mexico that can be used in all sorts of ways in childbirth, which we don't have time to talk about. But I also have my lavender spray, and I just straight up lavender. I never go anywhere without lavender because there's over 1,000 uses for it. There's probably not a single day that goes by that I don't use lavender for something. So I always have it on hand. Another blend I didn't talk about during the emotional blends, but there's one called Highest Potential that is just one of my personal favorites. I feel like when I put this oil on, I can do anything. Like it just makes my whole body kind of buzz and I get kind of alive, and it gives me courage. It gives me energy. I feel like it just really helps me reach my highest potential. So I think it's a really excellent one to use during childbirth for women that are kind of struggling and need help sort of tapping into their inner rock stars, as I like to call it. There's that deep relief roller ball that I was talking about that's really great for rubbing on the low back. And another roller ball I made myself of the Stress Away, which I love. I always have a carrier oil on hand in here just for massaging and things like that. And then these Ningxia Nitro, these are like little tubes that you crack open and you just shoot them down. And it's sort of a spin-off product of that Ningxia Red, but this one's more geared towards like cognitive awareness. So if I get called to a birth in the middle of the night and I'm like super zombie tired, I'll crack open a Ningxia Nitro and then I'll suck it down and I'm like ready to go. So it can be a really helpful boost of energy during a really long labor. So I keep those in my doula bag and sort of give them as a special gift if a labor goes really long and we need that extra boost of energy. So those are just a couple things that I keep in my doula bag. You know, I tend to just grab my travel case of essential oils with me. So I have a good, a lot of options to choose from because it's, different women are going to be drawn to different oils during childbirth. And I sort of like to let them pick, which ones are speaking to them. So I try to give a good options there. So to recap for the night, what we've learned tonight, we talked about essential oils and living a toxic-free lifestyle and how important that is and how essential oils can make that so much easier for us. We talked about how to use essential oils safely during pregnancy. Now, if anyone has any more questions about that, go ahead and start asking because I know I didn't get to cover everything tonight. We talked about lots of helpful oils that can be used during pregnancy to support your ever-changing growing body. That's beautiful. And we talked about essential oils for childbirth. Hold on a second. Request. So a lot of you that are here are already Young Living members. Someone's asking to speak. Someone's requesting to speak. Let me see if I can do this right. I'm inviting you as a speaker, Megan. I hope I do this right. Yeah, I don't know how this works. I've never had someone request to speak, but if you want to know how to get started, I know a lot of you are already Young Living members, so you can go ahead and leave, but some of you aren't and you don't know kind of how it works getting started with Young Living. So how Young Living works is it's not like Pampered Chef. I'm not like the Mary Kay lady of essential oils. If you want to buy essential oils, you can buy them yourself. All you need to do is create an account with Young Living to order your oils. Young Living is not available in stores. They are a direct sales company because they want you to have that support person to go to when you have questions about oils. So you need to make your own account to buy Young Living oils. I will say a quick note about Amazon. Why you don't want to buy your oils on Amazon. Well, first of all, you can't really trust the oils that are being sold on Amazon because a lot of them get tampered with, especially the Young Living oils. People will, crack the bottle open, split it in half, pour carrier oil in there, and cap it back on, and then sell it for a higher profit, which is kind of sad. There's also no guarantees. If you get an oil and you don't like it, you can't return it, which is kind of a shame. Young Living has a 30-day return policy, which is great. But the biggest reason to not buy your oils on Amazon and to become a Young Living member is because you want to be a part of that community. When you sign up for Young Living, you sign up with a sponsor, and that sponsor is responsible for plugging you into whatever sort of community exists to support you with your Young Living oils. So with the Revolution Oils team that I'm a part of, we plug everyone into our private support group, which is just a wonderful place because there's so much to learn. You have so many questions. So it's really nice to have that person to go to ask those questions. Well, Megan, I'm inviting you to come speak if you have a question, but I don't know. It's just not, I don't know how it really works. So maybe if you have a question, you can type it into the chat box instead. Sorry about that. So when you become a Young Living member, there's really just one choice you have to make if you want to become a retail customer versus a wholesale member. So I just want to explain the difference because it can be a little confusing for people. The wholesale membership is where you get 24% discount off of your oils. And then the retail customer is where you just pay retail price. Now, retail price, I mean, I would make more money if you bought as a retail customer. If you wanted to create an account, you use my sponsor ID number, become a retail customer, and I would make more money if you did that. But I know these oils are really expensive, and I like to give people the cheapest option to buy, and by far the best option would be to become a wholesale member because you get 24% off. There's no fees, there's no strings attached. There's no fees, yearly fees, monthly fees, anything like that. You do have to maintain a purchase of $50 per year. Of like purchasing oils, which is not, that's like a bottle of Thieves and a bottle of lavender, that you buy every year, and you get to keep your membership, which is great. You are eligible to earn commission as a wholesale member, but there's no obligation to sell whatsoever. And you're also eligible for the Essential Rewards program, which is a totally optional program, but it's amazing. Like you earn free points every time you order your oils. So that's really great and not available for retail customers. So to become, the only requirement to become a Young Living member is to buy one of the premium starter kits or just any of the starter kits that they have. That's the only thing you need to do to become a wholesale member. After that, there's no fees, no anything. And the wholesale kit is, the premium starter kit is just an amazing deal anyway. So it's how 90% of people get started with Young Living because it's just kind of a no-brainer. The starter kit comes with 11 of the most popular essential oils, and I'll break those down next. Now, these alone would retail for $163. It also comes with a home diffuser, which you're gonna love the home diffuser. It's amazing, and that alone retails for $98. Comes with 2 samples of the Ningxia Red that I was talking about earlier tonight. So you can try that, see if you like the taste. A lot of people, they say like you took the 2 samples of Ningxia and they were hooked. Like they could feel a difference immediately. And then it comes with some other goodies. It gets you your membership for life with no fees and no minimum purchases. And it gets you your 24% wholesale discount for all future purposes. Uh-oh, my slide's not moving. Whoop, whoop. So the retail value of this kit, if you were to total everything all together, would be about $300. But as a first-time member, you can get it for $170 or $275 if you want to upgrade to this super fancy, awesome glass diffuser, beautiful thing. But the $170 kit is most people start there, and it's an amazing diffuser. It's great. The fancy one is retailed at $475. And then the other one, as I said, is valued at $300. So it's a really great value. It gets you your wholesale price membership for life. And there's a couple different diffusers you can look at as well when you're buying your starter kit. And just to let you see which oils are in the starter kit, there's lavender, copaiba, RC, which is called the Spa in the Bottle. Thieves, definitely their most popular. DEET Guys, which I was talking about, is that magical digestive aid. Lemon, which is delicious, energizing, and one of my favorites. My slides are sticking. And Panaway, frankincense, which is like my personal favorite. And it's just amazing that they put frankincense. I mean, frankincense on its own is like $80. So I think it's really beautiful that they put it in the kit. Panaway is really great for aches and pains, which can be really helpful for pregnancy. Purification and peppermint, which I cannot live without. And then Stress Away, my favorite as well. And so these come in the 5 milliliter bottles, and each bottle has 100 to 150 drops of oil in it. So it'll last you a good while. And I know everyone is like, they kind of freak out and they say, well, how do I know which oils to use for what? Because there's so much knowledge and so much information that they need. So there's some resources available for you. The private Facebook group that we have that we mentioned is a really great place to go. The Essential Oil Revolution podcast that's just been created is a really great place to learn and just use your intuition, be willing to play, and you really can't go wrong. And then there's lots of third-party materials as well for you to use. The FDA regulations are very strict about what, as a representative in Young Living, I can and cannot say openly about these oils and my experience with them. So it's really important to have good third-party materials to look at, like a book, you know, that can tell you all about how to use different essential oils for what. All right, so if you are interested in ordering, I just really quickly, I'm going to go through what that looks like because it's really confusing and people tend to get really confused. So pay attention. The first step is to select that you want to become a member and not a retail customer. When you go to the Young Living website, then you'll put in who referred you here. So you can use my sponsor ID number, which is 1993230. Put that in the sponsor enroller. And then this next step, this is where a lot of people get really tripped up because it asks for your tax information. Because Young Living is a direct sales company, there is that business opportunity that's tied in with the wholesale membership. However, it's just an opportunity. It is not a requirement. You are never required to sell these oils to your friends, I promise. But the IRS requires Young Living to take tax information, at the beginning because they don't know that you're not going to start a business with this. So they're required to take your tax information, which unless you run your own business is going to be your social security number. So this is where a lot of people get really tripped up. But I assure you that, there's, oh God, how many Young Living members are there? It's like 1 million Young Living members and wholesale members. They've all put in their social security number in here, and they've never had a security breach. It's very, very safe to do. If you're completely opposed to this, you can do what's called creating an EIN number. If you go to just Google EIN, government number, and you can create like an alternative thing that way. But it's very safe. I can assure you. It's very, very safe. And then after that, you'll just pick which starter kit you want to use. And you can pick from all the different diffusers that they have that you can add on to your kit, which is fun. The last step, it'll ask you about joining Essential Rewards. This is totally optional, and I just say skip this for now. You know, you're buying your starter kit, just start there, see if you like your oils. If you do find yourself ordering oils a lot, then join the Essential Rewards program, because it's amazing and it'll save you tons of money. But don't worry about that right now. And then, as I said, for those that are here with me live on the webinar, I have a very special gift offer just for you for being here live, because I love doing these live. It's way more fun than not having anyone here. So for anyone that decides to get started with a premium starter kit from Young Living using my sponsor ID, within the next 24 hours, you're going to get a $25 reference guide that teaches you everything you need to know about using your essential oils, as well as the chemical-free home book that I was getting a lot of those recipes out of. Like, I've got it right here in front of me. This is the third edition is more geared towards babies and pregnancy and things like that. It's got recipes in it like baby vaporizing chest rub, keep calm nipple balm, baby bath soak, cloth diaper pre-soak, a tale of 2 deliveries. I mean, it's got over 40 recipes in this little handbook, and it's great. It's amazing. So I'm going to gift that to you guys, because I love you and I'm so glad that you're here. Now we can have, I'm going to display, I think that this link, if you are interested in purchasing a starter kit, if you click on this special bonus offer here, that should take you right over to the Young Living website, where my sponsor number is already in there, ready to go. So go ahead and click there if you're interested. Now, if you have any questions, I almost made this shorter than an hour and 15 minutes, but didn't quite make it. Thanks for hanging in there for me. But if you have any questions, put them in the chat box, or you can request to speak, which I can see somebody doing, but for some reason I can't quite, I don't know, grant that access. So sorry about that. But if you do have a question, type it into the chat box and I'd be happy to answer it now, or feel free to email me, SamanthaWright121@gmail.com, or find me on Facebook or Twitter. My Twitter handle is @LifeBySamWright, and I'm very reachable anywhere, anytime. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. I had a lot of fun, and I feel like we blew through a lot of information. So good for you for sticking to the end. And I hope you took lots of great notes. And I wish you the best of luck in your pregnancy and your childbirth, or getting pregnant, or helping other pregnant moms. Whatever reason you're here for, I just wish you the best of luck. It's such an amazing thing to be a part of, and I love it. I love what I do. So good night, everyone. Thanks for being here. I don't see any questions coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast. But feel free to reach out later with questions anytime. Take care.